my truth.
Bring your ex.
City people, done with them.
Done with them.
And we got paid the city rent.
City rent.
City people, done with them.
Done with them.
Well, let me pay the city rent.
Put the X by. Place the X by. Colonel Jeffrey. Put the X by. Left your X by. Colonel Jeffrey. Put the X by. Colonel Jeffrey.
Yo, city people feeling dread. All the prices gone over we head.
And the
Children crying, what I do? Bring your ex, make your chick. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Barbados Labour Party family. You must forgive my supporters because they're very loyal and enthusiastic, and they will follow me from here to Timbuktu. And I compliment them. I'm very happy this evening to be here in St. Michael West to share a platform with people the caliber of Ian Goodenedgell, Arthur Holder, Joe Atherley. I'm happy indeed because I always enjoy sharing a platform with Joe Atherley. His speeches inspire me. He is a knowledgeable man, and I like to listen to him. And I know that he delivers on the things that he speaks about. And as a young politician, he's one of the persons that I have looked up to, and I would like to thank Joe for that. And I know that he will bring home this seat once again within the bosom of the Barbados Labour Party. I'm also very honored to be a part of this Barbados Labour Party family. I'm equally honored to be part of a political team led by Owen Seymour Arthur. And I say that not because I want to gain any brownie points, as we would say from Owen Arthur. I say that because Owen Arthur, through the management of the affairs of this country, has earned my respect, has earned my admiration. And I will say to you, where he goes, Jeffrey Bostic is willing to follow. And so you would imagine that leadership may be one of the things that I intend to speak about. But as I have been doing throughout this campaign, I will continue to address my remarks particularly to you first-time voters and to those of you who are uncommitted, you're neither B nor D. And I do so because I strongly believe that the next set of general elections in this country will be determined by persons who consider themselves neither B nor D. We are in a situation where someone has to emerge to take this country out of the dark days that we've been experiencing for the last 5 years. In any organization, in any country, in anything, when things are bad, when things are brown, people look to those who are in charge for leadership, for guidance, for encouragement. And for those of you who are young voters, even within the confines of your homes, as things are brown right now, you look to your parents for guidance, for encouragement. And even though sometimes they may not be able to provide you with everything, you still look to them. And that is what any government should expect from its people, and any people expect of its government. Prior to the period 1994, Barbados was in a serious situation. Unemployment was very high. People had suffered 8% cuts. But the people of Barbados who were laid off, who lost their jobs, did not lie down and play dead. People rose to the occasion. People decided that they were going to lift themselves out of the circumstances that confronted them. And as I have said before, that is where these roadside trades emerge. people started to sell things to eat, pigtails and all. And you know about the barbecue pigtails better than I. People started to sell things and created their own businesses. And one would think that the government of the day would take the example of its people who do things like that and rise to the occasion and not play the blame game for the last 5 years. I am not an economist, neither am I an idiot. And when I look around this Caribbean, what I'm seeing is that those countries where the government decided that they were going to find a way out of the situation that confronted them, those countries have been doing relatively well. Countries like ours, and there are not many in CARICOM, where the government decided to blame everybody else, the international recession, blame the past government, the situation speaks for itself. Even within your families, young people, young voters, you may not recognize it, but years ago, our parents and grandparents, they taught us how to make ends meet, how not to buckle down or buckle up when things got bad. We can tell you of the days, for example, when our parents and grandparents were cooking soup and they didn't have everything to put in it to stretch it. They would use Eclipse biscuits broken up in order to give it some body so that more and more people could be fed. I myself, whenever the long vacation came, my mother was saying us to buy a gallon of syrup. You know, I'm talking about molasses, to make swank, because that was supposed to last for the entire vacation. And I'm saying those things to say that Barbados and Barbadians are accustomed to riding rough seas out. But here it is, in 2013, and for the last 5 years, we've had some rough seas, some that we have created ourselves. And yet, the government has decided that it would not ride the rough seas, that we blaming Tom, Dick, and Harry. And this is the reason why we are at the crossroads that we are at right now. But I want to say to you, young voters, uncommitted voters, those of you who voted in the last election for the first time would not have experienced hardships before now. And you would not have experienced hardships because for 13 or 14 years, Owen Seymour Arthur made this country prosperous. This country was doing well. So you're only accustomed to good things. You're only accustomed to a country that has been doing well up to now. And this is the difference between the last election and this one. When I say to you that I believe in Owen Arthur as a leader, I was not joking. I've seen him at work. And I remember before the last election when I became a candidate for the first time, I attended a meeting and Owen Arthur said to all of us, people in Barbados believe that he wanted to become the first fourth-term prime minister. But he said that was not the case. He saw 2 years before it happened that the world was going into a serious economic crisis and that Barbados would have been in significant trouble. And he felt, given his experience and expertise, that he was the best person to steer the ship. And that's why he wanted to win the last election. But Owen Arthur, wherever you are, Barbados is still in murky waters. And you can still steer the ship. And on the 21st of February, the people of Barbados will put you back at the hem of the ship called Barbados. In 1994, it was a sinking ship. In 2013, it is still a sinking ship. But you have already taken a sinking ship and made it a luxury liner. And we know that you can do it again. When Kofi Annan said that Barbados was a small country that punched above its weight, he should have gone on to say that we punch above our weight because we had a small prime minister who felt a very heavy cuff. That man had punch. That man could punch. And without him punching, Barbados could not have punch above its weight. You had money in your pocket. That is true. We have a decision to make, ladies and gentlemen, young voters, uncommitted voters. Either to continue with the current administration or go back to an administration and a leader that have gone this way before and for which his legacy will continue to live on in this country. When you really examine the record of the man, and you do so honestly, you would have to praise him for the good that he has done. Do you know that for a long time, we did not raise any taxes in this country? And because we were able to keep taxes down, you, the people of Barbados, were able to have a little more money in your pocket. But then we had a change, and every tax went up. From bicycle tax, road tax, consumption tax, land tax, every single tax. We even tried to create a tax that has never been created before. We tried to tax cell phones. And that should have been an indication to people that the government was on the wrong path. It was a path of trying to get out of this situation by heavy taxation. Obviously, it has not worked. Young voters, uncommitted voters, you have to ask yourselves whether or not the standard of living that you enjoyed 5 years ago, you do today. And the answer I will put to you has to be no. Young voters, uncommitted voters, especially the young ones, you are experiencing difficulties because your parents no longer have the money in their pocket to look after you. And they don't have the money because of economic policies of the government that have prevented them from having money in their pockets. And the effect of these measures can be seen by all and sundry. We have moved from being the #1 developing nation on this planet. Within 5 years, we have stepped down a few places, with Argentina and Chile in this hemisphere alone surpassing Barbados. That is an example of what I'm talking about. We have doubled poverty in this country within the last 5 years. From a country where poverty alleviation was a #1 priority, we have now reached the stage where we are becoming poorer and poorer, just like the economy is becoming smaller and smaller. And all these things have not happened haphazardly. It is because those with the responsibility for managing the affairs of this country have not done what you, the people, elected them to do. The people of Barbados elected the government because they felt for one reason or another, and we could argue whether or not they were right. That is irrelevant right now. But they put a new government in place because they felt that that government could offer them something better. They never expected that the government would have been deflecting everything off them onto the Barbados Labour Party. And you see, this is where the strength of Owen Arthur as a leader really inspires me. You would recall that we had a leader in Owen Arthur who was not afraid to discipline his cabinet colleagues if that was required. We had a leader in Owen Arthur who was not afraid to say, I am responsible for the actions of my government. Blame me. This is the measure of a man whose leadership ability has to be rated high, high, high. And I say this because whether or not you want to accept it, ladies and gentlemen, great leadership emerges out of the ashes, out of difficult and challenging situations. And this is one that we are facing where leadership does matter. You have to ask yourselves whether or not better could have been done by the government within the last 5 years. And I say yes, better could have been done. And I say that because better has been done by almost every single CARICOM country except perhaps one, Dominica. Better has been done by every single Latin American country that has recorded economic growth over the last few years. So to say that the international recession stopped the government from doing what it ought to have been doing is an erroneous statement. Better indeed could have been done. Can the Barbados Labour Party do better? I say to you, the answer is yes. And I'm confident in saying so because the Barbados Labour Party has done this thing before. When we came into office in 1994, believe it or not, the state of play in Barbados was considerably worse than it was in 2008. But the boss man decided that he was going to fix the situation. And we heard about the 30,000 jobs that were created. What people do not recognize, though, is that out of the 30 or 35,000 jobs that were created, 17,000 were created within the first term of the Owen Arthur administration. 17,000. And because of the foresight of that regime, a lot of people on the block, for example, who were marginalized and sidelined, were afforded opportunities to create their own businesses through Project Oasis. Small businesses in this country were facilitated by fund access to expand their businesses. And all the social services like urban and rural that were created under the last Barbados Labour Party administration resulted in what Steve Blackett indicated in Parliament when he delivered the poverty report, that the government of Barbados of the day must be credited for bringing poverty down to the levels that the Barbados Labour Party did. And that is the difference between the two. But if you are a young voter and an uncommitted voter, you may not be interested too much in what has gone before. You want to know what is coming, how it is that we are going to get out of this mess. So, your question may be, perhaps, can the Democratic Labour Party take me and my family out of the mess we are in? I say to you no, and I'll tell you why I say no. A return of the Democratic Labour Party to office is a return to empty pockets. If you study the last report given by the governor of the central bank, that report stated clearly that for the last 5 years, Barbados has not recorded 1% economic growth yet. But worse than that, 2013 is already predicted to be less than 1% for this year coming. So, what that tells you is that a return of the Democratic Labour Party will signal the return of the economic policies that were engineered by that party, policies that clearly have not worked. And as the central bank governor said, policies, he didn't say so directly, don't let me misquote him, but by suggesting that the economy will grow by less than 1%, is telling me that the policies will continue to fail after 2013, the 21st of February, after election. If we go back, we will have to continue with a failed economy. On the other hand, the Barbados Labour Party, whenever the manifesto is issued, I am asking the young voters and the uncommitted voters to look carefully at the two manifestos. Don't listen to what Jeffrey Bostic says alone. Don't allow people to buy your vote. And by the way, I hear real money now spending. I have a lot of people in my constituency who have brought out all the bills today because there's a representative farmer who has not been able to assist anybody for the last 5 years. But suddenly he can pay electricity bills and gas bills, $300. And that tells you one thing. Young voters, uncommitted voters, do not let anybody purchase your vote. Do not allow anybody to insult your integrity. I am begging you, study what is being presented by Barbados Labour Party. Study what is being presented by the Democratic Labour Party. And I am confident, I am convinced that you will place that X by every single Barbados Labour Party candidate running in this election. Study what is going to be presented. And Mr. Arthur gave you an idea on Saturday as to what that manifesto is likely to look like. And you see, or you should have seen, that there are some areas that will bring immediate relief to every single Barbadian. I haven't seen a manifesto yet, but I am excited at the prospect of seeing that manifesto. And I urge you all to look and see what both parties are offering. You have a situation right now where the ruling party has not yet uttered a word as to how it is going to proceed to get us out of this mess. We've been hearing night after night slander and slander, cursing, all kinds of things, but not one solution to the problems confronting this country. And I cast your minds back to the last election, and I gave the Barbados Labour Party praise for this. Instead of going that route, the Barbados Labour Party produced a performance document, promises and performance, that if you really looked at it seriously, you would recognize that the Barbados Labour Party achieved a significant amount of things that it said that it was going to do. And it was based on that the Barbados Labour Party could have been given another chance, but you had a different idea, and we respect that. But all of the cursing, all of the slandering, even saying that we're going to lay off people even before we come to office, all of these things cannot stop you from seeing this naked truth that this economy has not gone anywhere, that all of the economic engines that drive this economy are failing, that this society has deteriorated in terms of the quality of its life, and that is why we are no longer the world's #1 developing nation. Nothing that they say can erase those facts. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look at the team that we are presenting. 30 good people. And that is not to say that the Democratic Labour Party does not have good people. I am just saying to you, we have 30 good people and the better team. And the better quality leaders. And the greatest vision and direction. And that's one of the things that drew me to the party. Because coming from my background where we do things like that, I could not really believe when I heard that Barbados had a 25-year development plan. 25-year development plan designed by the Barbados Labour Party. And that indicated to me that this was a party with leaders who are forward-thinking. Leaders who think about tomorrow, next week, and next year, and the next 5 and 10 and 15 years. No piecemeal approach. And without a shadow of a doubt, I am asking all the young voters who can hear me, all the uncommitted voters, you may neither be B nor D, but I want you to vote for the prosperity of Barbados. Vote for a brighter tomorrow. Vote for a brighter future. Support each and every candidate of the Barbados Labour Party and allow us the opportunity to take this country out of the dark ages and back into light. I ask the same thing of those persons in this constituency in St. Michael West. Reverend Joseph Atherley is the man. He is the man. And it would be an honor and a privilege if I can get the opportunity to sit next to Joe Atherley in Parliament. Give us that opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. Two good men belong to a really good party. Things are dread, that is true. We have had enough of them. And I hope that those of you who are uncommitted tonight, that by tomorrow morning, you too can say, enough of them. Enough of them. Kick them out. Frederick Smith said so. Frederick Smith said so. Sir Frederick Smith. I am saying to you, as Owen Arthur has said, go out in your droves. Don't wait for any cars to come. The election can only be won on election day. We can have 1 million people. If it does not translate to votes on election day, we will not win. Do not stay home, ladies and gentlemen. Uncommitted voters, young voters, your vote counts. We need your support. We need your votes. And if you stay home, you may give the government a chance to return to rip out your pockets. And so I say to you, in closing, give the Barbados Labour Party the opportunity to provide a better life for you. Bring back the old sea captain, Owen Arthur. He did it once before, and he will do it again. Barbados Labour Party family, good night, God bless, and we love you all.
Yo, city people, feeling dread. All the prices gone over we head.
Give it up for Jeffrey Bostic, the city of Bridgetown.